So could you introduce yourself and your company?
Michael Phillips. I'm a director and principal consultant with Dulas Limited. We're a renewable energy company based in Mid Wales, but we operate throughout the UK. We're a worker-owned cooperative, so it means that effectively us as employees, we are shareholders in the company and have an interest in the business of the company itself. We established as a business in 1982, and we're celebrating our 30th, well, more than 30 years anniversary this year. So we're actually one of the longest running consultancy businesses in renewable energy in the UK. Originally we grew out of an organisation called the Centre for Alternative Technology, which was, to put it kindly, a company of slightly woolly-jumpered, pipe-smoking individuals emerging from the hippie era who engaged in renewable technology and identified its potential before it became a market-ready technology or technologies as such. And Dulas Limited broke out of the CAT, the Centre for Alternative Technology, in 1989 to set up a commercial company, basically a commercial consultancy to gain a profit for its shareholders, i.e. us as the workers, but also to spread ourselves more widely throughout the UK so that we could promote renewables more widely.
And could you take us through the consulting services that Dulas offers?
So we are a consultancy that work over a raft of different technologies, renewable technologies. We're primarily focused on solar PV, solar voltaics, but we also engage in work overseas with solar vaccine refrigerators, which is a patented design. And their purpose is to store vaccines in third world countries for health programs overseas, obviously to target health issues in very disadvantaged countries. We also work in biomass, so we work in combined heat and planning biomass projects. We work in wind energy, and we work in hydroelectric power as well.
So what's Dulas's role in the project development process?
So depending on the technology, typically we will take an initial interest from a client with a landowning or a property or a building, and we'll advise them in terms of the appropriate renewable technologies for that particular landholding or property. We also get involved in site finding. So on the wind energy side, for example, we may be approached by a landowner or a utility organisation or a private developer, and they say, we want a wind farm site. And Dulas will then take effectively that baton, and we will use a combination of our tools, including geographical information systems and our intellectual property, to be able to identify suitable sites that could then be developed by our client. Once we've identified the site, we then identify the appropriate technologies or the appropriate scale of technology for that site. We'll take it through a feasibility stage. We'll determine financial viability of that technology for the client itself. And if the client is happy that they want to progress with the development, we can then take that scheme right the way through the planning process, right the way out through the backside. It's probably the wrong word to use, but effectively out the other side of the planning process, and take it through to the contractual stage, which then leads on to the installation and the operation of those particular renewable technologies. And we then also engage in continuing operation and maintenance of that particular scheme to make sure that it operates efficiently and, well, for our clients, profitably.
Within that sort of different list of things you do in that service, could you put your finger on any particular thing that makes what Dulas does particularly unique?
Well, we all like to think of ourselves as unique, I think, but I think partly what makes Dulas unique is we are one of the few worker-owned organisations in the business itself, so we're not purely a commercial entity. We have a vision and values which is about rolling out as much renewable energy technology in order to challenge climate change as best we can. I think our uniqueness has been recognised in the last 10 years in terms of the awards that we've received. So we received a Queen's Award for Enterprise in 2004. We've been Renewable Energy Association Company of the Year Currently, we're Renewable Energy Association Installer of the Year, and we have a raft of other awards, I think, that are a recognition of the qualities and the uniqueness of us as an organisation. But if you particularly want to draw out what makes us unique, I think it's building up the interrelationship and the interface with the client so that we can reflect the client's needs and effectively help them develop and take their schemes through that whole process that I described earlier to get them to a point of fruition where they can actually realise their dreams. And we do that in a very supportive, very nurturing manner. And I think really that's what sets us out apart from the others.
So can we access Dulas's consulting services just in the UK, or can European companies get hold of them as well?
So we're primarily based in the UK across most of the technologies, but more and more now we're looking at wind monitoring in Europe, providing wind monitoring services whereby we put up meteorological testing masks to test the wind resource. And we've got a couple of bits of equipment and kits now that we can roll out across Europe. But as I explained earlier, we work worldwide in terms of the solar vaccine fridges, particularly in developing countries. And we have historically as well worked hydro projects in South America and Nepal. So we're fairly broadly spaced, we're fairly broadly spread across most of the globe. It depends on where our clients come from, and if the client likes us and wants us to work in Timbuktu or Tunbridge or Tor Point, then we'll be happy to take on their jobs.
Where do you see the company in 4 or 5 years?
I think the company will just get stronger and stronger because of the vision and values of the company. We're a worker-owned company, as I've explained. We get an incredible buy-in from our employees into the company itself. And so it means that we've got a very high retention rate within the company, which means we keep the core values and skills within the company sustainably for the long term. So what we would like to do is continue to grow as a company, but with a consolidated growth. We don't want to go meteoric. We want to be here for the long haul. And we don't want to grow too quickly because that might expose ourselves to some of the variabilities and vulnerabilities within the market. And so we're very circumspect and cautious about the growth. But we came up with a strapline recently, and that the strapline was where we were trying to develop the values of the company. And effectively, Dulas wants to be here until nuclear fusion arrives. Did I say nuclear fusion? I meant nuclear fission, of course.
We'll let you off on that one, Michael. So what does Dulas need now to move forward?
I think it's a matter of not what just Dulas needs, but effectively what probably the global population needs. We need considerable commitment, continuing commitment from governments on the policy level to provide support for renewables, because renewables isn't a fly-by-night technology. It's here to stay. It's really beginning to gain proper traction in the market, and it is cost competitive with standard fossil fuel generation, and it can be delivered on scale. The only problem that we have is that if the governments prevaricate and they don't have strong policy, then effectively the investors, people who put money into these sorts of technologies, will look towards other options, whether it's nuclear, whether it's for fracking. And we really don't want dirty energy generation. We want clean energy generation. And so really the plea is towards the government and towards the public to continue to support renewables.
Michael, cheers.